All right, so on this one, it's just asking, please evaluate, and then round off your answer to 2 decimal places. Well, remember, if you want to, you can always put equals x. Do you see any variables over here? No. What this is asking is, what power do I raise 16 to get an answer of 918? Well, my calculator doesn't know base 16. It knows base e, and it knows base 10. So I'm going to use change of base formula. So log of the argument over the log of the base that my calculator doesn't know. And I'm just going to slap that thing in my calculator. Divided by log 16. And that gives me 2.46. So basically, here's what you just learned. If I take 16 and raise it to the 2.46 power, I will get almost 918. So there's a rounding error, but that's fine. I mean, because we were told to round, okay? So that's what you're finding. You're finding the power to raise 16 to get an answer of 918. Okay, so again, I've got log 1/9 of 448. If you want to, slap an equals x on there. But that really doesn't help. So I've got to change my base. So log of 448. Again, you could use the natural log if you want. Just be consistent. So I've got the log of 448 divided by the log of 1/9. Okay. Log of 448 divided by the log of 1/9 equals negative 2.778. So negative 2.78. Negative 2.78. Okay. So, couple more. So this one, it says, please evaluate. Well, what do I notice? There are no variables. And this is in base 10. And this is in base E. And my calculator knows all of it. So I'm going to hit log, natural log, 702.6. Enter, and I get 0.8165. So 0.82. So 0.82. So this one, first thing I notice, there are no variables, which means I can do this in my calculator. Second of all, it's in base E, and then it changes into base 10. Both of those my calculator knows. So the natural log of the common log of 386 gives me 0.95. Okay? Evaluate. Let's do it again. All right, so I have log 1/8 of 0.61. My calculator doesn't know 1/8, so I need to change it. So I'm just going to use natural log this time because I used common log twice in a row. All right, so natural log of 0.61 over the natural log of 1/8. So the natural log of 0.81 divided by the natural log of 1/8 gives me 0.10. So 0.10. So again, what does that mean? That means if you raise 1/8 to this power, you'll get approximately 0.61. All right, so I have this one. When you're doing your homework, you'll have a little box, and it will say, if a sample solution, it wants to know what its pH is. So it's going to say, what is its pH? And it should be blue. So you can click on it and find the formula. Literally, what this says is, if a sample of a certain solution is determined to have a hydronium ion concentration of, and then it gives you what that is. Your answer is negative log base 10 of this mess. Okay? So 8.56 times 10 to the negative 4th. Do you see a variable? Because that's not an x, that's multiplication. I don't see a variable, which means I can slap this in my calculator. So negative log of 8.56 times 10 raised to the negative 4th power, stop that, gives you 3.067, and I'm going to 1 decimal place, so 3.1, so it's acidic. So 3.1 is your pH. So literally, hit the negative sign, hit the log button, and then enter the rest of that and hit enter, or equals, whatever. All right, so if an earthquake is 10,000 times as intense as a 0-level earthquake, what is the Richter scale ranking? And again, that should be blue. So you can poke that button and find out what your value is. And what it says is that your Richter ranking is going to be equal to log of I over I sub O. Okay, so a 0-level earthquake. Well, what does my argument have to be in order for the answer to be 0? The argument has to be 1. And so just know that your 0-level earthquake, or the starting value, is a 1. Okay, so what is I divided by 1? It's I. Okay, so I have the Richter ranking is just the log of I. Okay, so what's your intensity that you're given? You're told it's 10,000. Okay, so I just need to do my Richter ranking is the log of 10,000. And when you hit log of 10,000, you get 4. So the Richter ranking would be a 4 on that. So just remember, this isn't 0. You're not allowed to divide by 0. It's a 1. Okay, so your Richter ranking there is a 4. And then this one, I'm going to backtrack to. Hang on, how much time do I have? All right, so let's do these two first, because that rounds off this section. This says to condense, and I'm going to come back to the decibel level just because I need a different piece of paper. All right, so if it's addition on the outside, what is it on the inside? If it's addition on the outside, it is going to be multiplication on the inside. So I have a z times an 18 times an x. And because math people are lazy, I really need to organize that because it's irritating. So I've got the natural log of 18xz. So this is correct. It just irritates me. Okay? So look at this one. Your base is 10, and it's subtraction on the outside. If it's subtraction on the outside, what is it on the inside? Subtraction on the outside will be division on the inside. So z goes on top. That says drop it down, and then 18 goes to the bottom. Okay? So let's go to this intensity level. So I have given that I sub O is, so I have I sub O is 10 to the negative 12 watts per meter squared. What is the intensity of a sound for which the decibel level of the sound measures 105? Okay, so I'm given that the decibels is 105. Okay, so when you click the little red or the little blue box, which I don't know what that is, maybe it's on decibel, I don't know, but something is a clickable thing, so you can find out what the formula is. All right, so what you'll find out is that your decibel level is 10 times the log of I over I sub O. And so what am I trying to find out? It's asking me what is the intensity of the sound. So I'm solving for this. I need to get this by itself. So fill in what we know. What do we know? I know that the decibel level is 105 equals 10 times the log, remember you're in base 10 right now, of I over, and then what was I told the initial intensity was? 10 to the negative 12. So he's 10 to the negative 12. Okay, so I need to start working this thing through so that I can figure out what I is. So what do I know how to do? If I'm trying to just start getting rid of stuff, I can get rid of this 10 because it's 10 times the log. So I'm going to divide both sides by 10. So that gives me 10.5 is the log of I. And now this is joined by what? Division on the inside. So I can join it by subtraction on the outside. Okay? So all I did was change this into two separate logs, and the I got a log, and the 10 to the negative 12 got a log. So I'm trying to get I by itself. Well, this part has no variables in it. If I'm expanding, I can drop this out front. So that becomes 10.5 equals log I. When I drop the negative 12, that becomes a positive 12 log 10. Okay? Now this should kind of sort of hopefully ring a bell right here. You've got 10, a base of 10 and an argument of 10. I'm just too lazy to write the base. So if my base and my argument match, that's actually a 1. So 1 times 12 is 12. So I have 10.5 equals log I plus 12. So I'm still trying to get to the I. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So I get negative 1.5 equals log I, and now I'm kind of stuck. Okay, until I remember in the last section, first of all, I'm going to flip-flop these things because I wanted to brainwash you so that your log was on the left. And now what do you have? If you have a log equal to something else, change it to exponential. So I've got 10 raised to the negative 1.5 equals I, and now I can figure out what I is. So 10 raised to the negative 1.5 gives me 0.0316. How many decimal places am I going? I'm going 3 decimal places. So 0.032 equals I. So that's the intensity level of a decibel level of 105. Okay? So that is 7.4.